Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is regrets. Many of us spend a lot of time and energy on regrets from different instances in our lives or ways that we've behaved or things that we've done or opportunities we didn't take. And today we're going to talk about transforming those regrets into learning opportunities and also maybe ways that we can find redemption with ourselves, particularly. So it should be a fun conversation. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's so good to have you here with us this morning. And before we get started with today's conversation, let's just take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together and vigorously rub your hands together, feeling the friction, the pressure, the motion, the temperature, and the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Rosalind, you've already got us rocking and rolling with some comments and questions. So, Rosalind says, what do people on their deathbeds regret, and what would they do if they had more time? That's a great question. And that's actually opening up a conversation about how we can use our death as an advisor, because we're all going to die. We know that we're all going to die. And how can we use that knowledge to enrich our lives? So when I think it's a really powerful practice to look at the regrets that you have, if you have any. Most of us have had a couple regrets in our lives. And some of us really condemn ourselves to ongoing oppression around our regrets, focusing on them. And instead of focusing on them, we can transform them. And so perhaps we don't want to wait until we're on our deathbed, wondering what would I do if. It would be better if we can live our lives with that awareness and consideration, and allow that to perhaps guide our behavior or changes in our behavior. And I can use an example from my own life. I haven't had too many regrets, thankfully. I mean, I for the most part, I'm able to look compassionately at experiences from the past, complete that with self-forgiveness and compassion, complete it with compassion for others. And I know the power of that, and I really, really recommend that we turn our self-compassion on to be able to understand more deeply the kinds of behaviors that we might have had in the past that don't meet our expectations of ourselves. So much of regret comes from deep self-judgment. And if we can recontextualize the experience, if we can come upon a deeper understanding of the motivators for certain things that occurred in our lives, that often can serve us to become better people, and also to find forgiveness for ourselves and for others, for that matter. For opportunities not taken, we can recognize that given the circumstances as they were, really looking at the circumstances as they were, we made the best choice that we could make at a given time, or that I tend to believe that we always make the best choice for a given time that is available to us. And sometimes we only have really bad choices available. But anyway, getting back to this notion of, I don't like the religious tone of this word, but redemption. So I don't believe that we need to be paying our whole lives for mistakes that we've made. April, oh my gosh, good morning. Welcome. It's so good to have you here with us. It's been quite some time. Wonderful to have you. We're talking about regrets, and living beyond regrets, like healing regrets. So I just mentioned the word redemption. Again, it's got a lot of religious connotations, but we want to step beyond the religious connotations to be looking at self-redemption and to know that we are not our mistakes. We are not our behaviors. We only become defined by them when we allow ourselves to be defined by them. So one of the things that we can do is we can actively look to heal the circumstances that resulted in the regret. So a big example for me, and this was so powerful, it was so incredibly transformative, and it's still changing my life in a very powerfully positive way. Is a long time ago, my dad had lent me some money for a business venture, and I never got to pay him back. I never was in a position financially to, I don't know if that's true. I mean, maybe over the years I could have paid him back little by little by little, but it never happened. And then he died, and that was a regret for me. That was one of two primary regrets in my life that I just hadn't been able to resolve. And I actually didn't realize how much that regret was working on me until this happened. So I realized, wow, I'm in a better position than I have ever been. And I wonder if my dad would be proud of me. That's actually what I was thinking. And that in itself was an indicator that there was something that needed healing, right? That I was still looking to have my dad's approval even after he was gone. And that opens into a larger story of healing our history. But anyway, I thought about, well, he's gone. I can't pay him back. What can I do to heal this, to clean this up, to complete this? And I remembered that there was a bird sanctuary, the Florida Keys Wild Bird Center, that he was a veterinarian and he used to volunteer there and do surgery on the birds and advise, and just he did a lot for that sanctuary. And I thought, well, I can't pay him directly, but I can give this money that I would have given to him to this organization that he so deeply cared about. And so I contacted them and I told them who I was. Good morning, Robin. Wow, it's a party today. Welcoming back of old family friends here. It's great to have you here with us. So we're talking about regrets. And so I'm talking about one particular regret that I had, and how taking action has been absolutely transformative for me. So anyway, I contacted this bird sanctuary and I told them who I was, and it turned out that they remembered my father, that he had touched a lot of human lives as well. Of course, he was a larger than life kind of guy. And I arranged to have a plaque created for him. And I have been donating money to them that I had owed my father, that my father had lent to me. And I will be doing that until my financial debt to my dad is complete. And I have to tell you, when I called them and told them what the story was, I didn't tell them that he had loaned me money and that I wanted to pay him back through them, but just that I don't think I told them that. But anyway, I just wept. I just started crying. I had no idea that the depth of emotion that was there was there. I had no idea. And what showed up was how I had still held the guilt and the shame from not being able to repay that debt, and all kinds of ideas about being a loser or being incompetent to take care of myself, or just being being less than. And I just these gales and gales of tears coming from deep, deep, deep in my deepest belly, um, came up around this. And it was such a profound, cathartic release that I can't even, there are no words to capture it accurately. And so this was one of my deepest regrets in life. And I am currently still, and will be for a while, engaged in healing it. And it is something that I am so grateful to be able to do. And I invite you to look in your life for regrets or incompletions that are binding you, that are holding you even beyond your awareness, perhaps, that are limiting your freedom, that are limiting your ability to be whole and complete, or that are there in your lives confirming that all your negative thoughts about yourself, that there are these evidences that we've just held and are living in spite of, rather than freeing ourselves from. And honestly, it was shocking to me to realize how deep the pain and self denigration there was, how much pain and how much self-denigration there was around this particular incompletion in my life. And so back to you, Rosalind, saying, well, people looking at what people on their deathbeds regret. I invite us not to wait, to look at what these regrets are. And the other regret was regarding a friendship that I had with someone who was the deepest friend I'd ever had, and a falling out that we had. And we had lost touch for years and years and years. And I had tried early on, I had tried without effect to rectify that situation. And it was over. And so that I carried for 35 years. And finally, after resolving a path of action, which is not a minor thing, to be able to take action regarding some of these things, with the loan from my father, I then decided to seek out this person and just reach out. And I did. And it turned out that they were ecstatic to hear from me that they had in fact tried to find me over the years as well. And so we have rekindled a friendship. And here I could have, I mean, it's miraculous and wonderful. And I could have carried those regrets to my deathbed. And I can tell you that the level of freedom, possibility, wholeness, self-respect that comes from addressing these things while we can. And you may need to do it creatively. You may need to find a way, perhaps the person or the transgression, whatever it is not resolvable. So I remember somebody telling me that they had a regret. They had stolen something from a store, and they never were able to redeem themselves, but also to the people. The store was no longer I think they had gotten caught, and I don't know if there were police involved. Anyway, the store is no longer there. And so what they decided to do, actually, I'm not sure exactly what they decided to do, but I believe they were going to find a place they had stolen a pair of jeans because they didn't have money to buy jeans. It wasn't just like, I'm going to steal a pair of jeans to go for a party, but they didn't have money to buy jeans, and they didn't have clothes that fit. Anyway, they stole a pair of jeans. And so they were thinking, well, how can I redeem myself with that? And they were considering possibly donating some clothing to different organization. I don't know what they actually chose to do. I have to ask them. But anyway, the thought of doing that, the decision to do something like that, in itself was lifting all this oppressive energy that had been present for them. And I'll say latent, is maybe not latent, operative on a very persistent, consistent, but subconscious level that was coloring their experience of themselves, and therefore their experience of life in general, their willingness to succeed, their willingness to participate in life. So these things linger. And I encourage you to do a self-inventory and look at what if there are there the regrets that you have in life that are operative, even though you may not be consciously present to them all the time. So it's kind of like a splinter that might end up affecting how you walk if you have a splinter in your foot, and eventually it can get infected. And what we need to do is to remove those splinters. And sometimes it may be a matter of self-forgiveness. It may not necessarily require an outward action to be able to rectify or heal or redeem oneself. Again, it's a religious sort of term. I mean it in a way of freeing ourselves from the guilt and oppression from those incidents. There are ways that we can find this forgiveness, and a big part of it is finding an action that will enable that self-forgiveness. Part of that is finding compassion for ourselves and a deeper understanding, and not a justification, but oftentimes we'll look at behaviors, for instance, and when we step back to look at the operative influences, we can recognize, we can come to a deeper understanding, perhaps, of what happened. So life is learning, and at least that's a premise that I live from. And so on the way to learning, we scrape our knees, we trip and fall, we confront our lack of perfection. That's part of learning. And that's what life is in so many ways, that we have so many opportunities for such a wide variety of lessons. And it takes courage to confront those lessons directly rather than burying, for instance, the guilt and the shame, living with guilt and shame over our, I'm going to call them transgressions, is debilitating in ways that we don't even recognize. As I came to a visceral understanding of when all these tears just came up from the deepest bowels of my body. So April says, your unique solution to a complex situation of healing a past regret is inspiring. Thank you, April. I encourage people to do this because it is transformational. It is life altering, truly. The freedom that this allowed me to feel in my life, I didn't even know how oppressed I had been. I didn't even know how it was working on me every day of my life. And so it takes a willingness to face the ugly in order to heal it sometimes, and to be conscious of the judgments that we have of ourselves. So rather than just accepting those judgments as truth, to be noticing, oh my gosh, look at this whole dynamic. There's all these judgments, there's all this shame, there's all this guilt and blame. And what is there to do that could be truly corrective on the deepest authentic level. So another friend had told me that they had owed somebody money and that they never paid it back. And it was a nominal amount of money. At the time it wasn't, but since then it has been. And that has eaten away at them for all this time. And what was there to do about it? And they decided to reach out to this friend and to take action to clean it up. There is such a value to being willing to face whatever those corners are, to actually clean out the corners. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's life altering. And I encourage you to look into your lives to see if there's any kind of regret like that you might be able to clean up, because you will be giving yourself one of the biggest gifts that you could possibly ever give. So that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to check out the other awesome programming on Enlightened World and Enlightened World Living. And I just, again, want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for the opportunity to have these wonderful conversations and to be exploring different ways of thinking and being and healing and all of it. And so until next time, so much love.